There's an interview clip floating around where a celebrity's face just changes, the smile drops, the room goes quiet, and the interviewer realizes a second too late that they completely crossed a line. It happens more than you'd think, and the celebrity shutdowns on this list range from jaw-dropping to genuinely chilling. Some of these you've seen, most of them you haven't, and the ones at the end of this list, they hit completely different. Let's start with the ones that made you want to applaud. First up, Quvenzhané Wallis at the 2013 Oscars. She was 9 years old. 9. She'd just been nominated for Best Actress, she'd just been told she was cast in the remake of Annie, and a reporter from the AP looked at her and said, "I'm just going to call you Annie now." Not her name, not the name on the nomination, Annie. And this 9-year-old looked right back at that reporter and said, "I am not Annie, I am Quvenzhané." No raised voice, no fuss, just a kid who knew exactly who she was and wasn't about to let a grown adult in a press line erase it. The interviewer laughed it off. But watch the clip, it's not a comfortable laugh. Then there's Daniel Kaluuya at the 2018 Oscars. He just made Get Out, one of the most talked about films of the year, and a Sky interviewer decided the best way to frame it was to say the movie ticked a lot of boxes. Ticked boxes. Kaluuya didn't raise his voice either. He just said, "We're not boxes though. Articulating a Black experience isn't a box. It's what we are articulating, our truth. We are human beings." Short, calm, completely devastating. The interviewer had nowhere to go after that. The clip ends and you're just sitting there thinking, how did no one in that production meeting flag that question? Hannah Waddingham at the Olivier Awards is a different flavor entirely. A photographer on the red carpet said something, the exact words are hard to make out on the recording, but her response is crystal clear. "Oh my God, you would never say that to a man? Don't be a dick. Don't say, 'Show them your legs.' No." And then she just moved on, smiled for the next camera, like she had done it 100 times before, because she probably has. And then there's Rita Ora. She was at a fragrance launch, there to talk about the fragrance, when a reporter brought up rumors about a former collaborator blocking her music. Rita listened. She let the reporter finish the whole question, and then she said exactly 2 words, "Thank you, bye-bye," and walked away. Not stormed away, walked, like she had somewhere better to be, which, honestly, she did. Watch what happens in each of these moments. The celebrity does not get loud, does not get flustered, does not try to explain themselves out of a corner. They just stop it. 1 sentence, sometimes 2, and the interviewer is left holding a question that has nowhere to land. That is not luck. That is someone who has been in enough rooms to know exactly when a line has been crossed and exactly how little energy it takes to draw one. These 4 moments are sharp. They are satisfying in the way a door closing cleanly is satisfying. You watch them and you think, good for them. But the next ones on this list are a different story, because some of these interviewers were not just being careless, they were pushing into places that had nothing to do with the work, nothing to do with the moment, and everything to do with making a celebrity feel small on camera. And the shutdowns that followed those moments, they stopped being funny pretty fast. Rita Ora's Buh-bye or Hannah Waddingham's Don't Be a Dick, which shutdown hit harder for you? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the next ones on this list are where things stop being satisfying and start getting genuinely uncomfortable. If the first half of this list made you want to cheer, this half is going to make you feel something a little harder to name, because there is a difference between a reporter asking a clumsy question and a reporter deciding that a celebrity's grief, or their body, or the worst thing that ever happened to them is fair game for a segment. And once you see that difference, you can't unsee it. Celine Dion lost her husband, René Angelil, in January 2016. He had been her manager, her partner, the person who had been in her life since she was 12 years old. She was back on stage within weeks, because performing was the only thing she knew how to do with that kind of grief. And an interviewer, not long after, decided the right question was whether she was ready to start dating again. Celine went completely still. Not dramatically still, just quiet, in a way that felt private. And then she said, "I'm not ready. I'm not sure I'll ever be ready. He was my whole life." The interviewer pivoted immediately. But that moment, that pause before she answered, that was a real person being asked to turn their grief into content, live on camera. You could see it cost her something to answer at all. But this next one is the one I keep coming back to. Megan Fox, during the promotional press run for Transformers in 2009, was asked by a reporter, on camera, in a formal junket setting, to describe herself as a sex object and explain why she thought men found her attractive. She was 23. She'd been asked versions of this question in nearly every interview that entire press cycle. Watch her face when it lands. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't smile through it. She just looks at the interviewer for a second and says, "I don't think I should have to answer that." And then she waited. The interviewer moved on. But the clip is uncomfortable to watch not because of what Megan said. What she said was exactly right, but because of how practiced the stillness was. Like she'd already decided, somewhere before that room, that she was done performing a reaction she didn't actually feel. Then there is Lady Gaga on a live morning show being asked about her relationship status roughly 48 hours after she had publicly confirmed a breakup. The host framed it as giving fans an update. Gaga looked at the host and said, "I think my music is the update. That's what I'm here to talk about," and redirected the entire interview herself without asking permission. The host laughed. Gaga didn't. And Viola Davis, on a press tour for a project she'd spent years building, was asked by a journalist whether she thought she was the right fit for the role, given that the character was originally written differently. Davis looked at him and said, "I think you should watch the film and then ask me that question again." She wasn't cold about it. She was precise. There's a difference. Cold is dismissive. Precise means you haven't done the work this question requires and I'm not going to do it for you. That's the thread running through every single moment on this list, from Quvenzhané at 9 years old to Viola Davis choosing her words like a scalpel. None of them yelled. None of them stormed out. They just refused, each in their own way, to become smaller so someone else's question could feel bigger. These are not just viral clips. They are the rare times a camera caught a real person refusing to be a product, and that's exactly why they stay with you long after the interview ends. Subscribe if you want more moments like these, and watch the next video on screen right now.